very casual, very laid back.
So goddamn arrogant about their PCs.
Welcome to another episode of D Freaks and Geeks, the unedited and unfiltered gaming podcast that's more fun than being invaded by aliens. That might be coming soon, dude. All these balloons, they're aliens. I am your host,
Balloons.
David, aka D Freak.
I'm Pat, aka Bloodbath 17.
And I'm Matt, aka Spiteful Toast.
I'm so proud of you guys. We nailed that one that time. This week we have another guest, Kind Essence. We had a really good time talking with her. Twitch streamer. Got into a little bit of everything, how she started. Got into a lot of Halo talk. So if you're a Halo Infinite fan, gear up because we're not. But we interview. So I don't know what else to say other than enjoy.
But I see the numbers.
This week's guest, we have Kind Essence, Twitch streamer. Kind Essence, how you doing today?
I'm good.
That's great. So there's a lot that we want to talk about. I was actually in your stream the other day, and I saw that you were playing Hollow Knight. And I have heard nothing but absolutely amazing things about that game. I tried playing it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's for me, but I have to push through it a little bit. But what were you doing? Is that like end game stuff that you were doing?
What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was doing Pantheons, which is boss rush. And there's like 5 of them. Yeah. So
you have to kill one, then another one just pops up right after that.
I think there's like not 10 or 11 per Pantheon, and there's 4 main ones, and then the 5th one there's like 30 enemies back to back, and you have to do it all without dying. So mods, yay!
You were very skilled at the game Hollow Knight.
Well, I got to Pantheon 3 and did that legit, and then by Pantheon 4, I was like, there's mods for almost everything. Is there something that like makes them easier or something? And I found most of the mods were like, make them harder. Like, why? It's already hard. Where's the easy one? And then I found the easy one. And then I found, where you don't die. Like, okay, yes, please.
Can you play those immediately, or do you have to beat the game first before getting to them?
That's a good question. I don't think you have to beat the game first. You have to access the spot on the map that unlocks that area, which I don't think requires beating the game, but you have to you have to get there. So it's still, I don't know if I'd say end game or not, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. I'm an OG like Halo kid, and I'm big on Game Pass, and people were recommending Dead Cells, Hollow Knight. It's not those are my first Metroidvania games, and they're not. How do I put this? For my skill set, they're not my thing. I'm not. They're too stressful. I don't like dying. I don't like starting over. I don't.
Have you ever played? Well, just on the topic of those kind of games, have you ever played Ori and the Blind Forest?
It's on my playlist.
That game is fucking dope because I don't like those types of games either. Yeah. That game's dope.
Yeah, especially if you like that game, and it's. I mean, not to sound weird, but it's a cute game. Like the characters in it.
Fucking weirdo.
Like the characters in it. I don't know. The characters in it, the music. It's not as hard as Hollow Knight. Because I remember I tried Hollow Knight when there's no map in that game, which really fucked me up. Because I was like, oh, I gotta find out where to go, but it doesn't tell me where I have to go. And there is
a map. You just have to find the map.
That's the problem. I didn't get that part of the game. I got a couple minutes into it and realized there was no map, and I was like, oh man, I think I'm in way too over my head right now. So I decided maybe I'll play it another time. But Ori and the Blind Forest is definitely a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I'm excited to play them.
2 of them, right? There's Ori and the Blind Forest, and then Will of the Wisps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way with you. Because I tried Hollow Knight and I just realized really quickly it wasn't my thing. But the only reason I tried it was because of Ori and the Blind Forest, because it's the same kind of style of game, and I thought that it would be the same, but it definitely wasn't. So you just said something that sparked all three of our interests really quick.
Let's go.
Yeah. If this is going to turn into a Halo talk, I am all in.
I'm 100% for it. I go on tangents all the time.
I know that you play Master Chief Collection, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you don't play Infinite.
Correct.
Why?
Because it sucks. No. I don't think you were in. Understandably so, because busy and stuff. But I have a channel point that's 343 billion points. So obviously, you can't get it, and that's to make me play Infinite again. So obviously, it's not happening. But
oh my god! Clearly, it's not on her top games to play. Top list of games she wants to play.
Here, I can definitely go on a tangent if you want to go on a tangent. So, story time. So I played, CE when I was 13, 14 for context, 32 now. And then I played Halo 2 from 15, 16 to
Best game ever.
Best game ever. 100% agreed. Until the server shut down. I don't remember exactly when that was, but...
Oh, you were playing until they told you, fuck you, you can't play no
basically.
more.
And coincidentally, that's when my life went downhill. A lot of more mental stuff started showing up.
Bungie.
Thanks, Bungie, you jerk.
Thanks.
Fuck. No, but and then I went to the midnight release for Halo 3, played that for a bit, got 100% of the achievements, and then went back to Halo 2 because it was a little different, it felt a little different, but 2 I was just better at comparatively. I was still in the negative KD, but I could actually kill people.
I don't mean to cut you off, but have you played the Halo 2 when they reamped it?
I did. I wasn't really a big fan. I was a fan of the the accuracy part, the hit. I don't know my words, but it felt you shot them in the head, they died. It was perfect. Yeah, thank you, hit markers.
Oh yeah,
I liked that, but I didn't like the how do I put it? The color. They basically brightened and darkened stuff at the same time, and on a lot of the levels, and I didn't really like that. It hurt
the
cutscenes
were gorgeous.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That was the first game I remember when they did that. I was like, oh, we are in a whole new game. We are in a whole nother level of technology. It blew me away. I still think about it to this day. But
when you play the Master Chief Collection, at least for obviously CE and 2, you can switch during the campaign. You can switch between classic and now, and I think it's so cool to compare the graphics then to now in terms of detail. It was just more the lighting. The detail was great.
You could switch it on a drop of a dime too, right?
Just hit select, and I was doing it a lot. I was taking pictures of screenshots. Okay, this is what this looks like in 2001. This is what it looks like, now. So, but so the Halo story. Okay, so I went back to Halo 2. Servers died, and sadness. And then I know there were other games. Reach. I liked Reach. Got to Inheritor. No life that. Went to the midnight release for that as well. Then 4 came out, and I was like, kill streak rewards. Yay, am I getting a chopper? Cool. This is stupid. And then 5 came out, didn't care. 100% of both of them, because OCD is great. But then I told them to fuck off. And then Infinite was the first game I ever got to partake in a flight. And I was very hopeful because they're like, oh, it's going to have Halo 3 feels. I'm like, wasn't the biggest fan of 3 compared to 2, but I will take Classic over COD, COD's still classic, but you know what I mean. It was its own thing, and now it feels like it's not.
They brought COD to Halo.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. Wait, 3, 4, and 5. You mean 4, 5, and Infinite?
Yeah, 4, 5, and Infinite.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, hold on. But yeah, it was more just the feel of it, not feeling how 2 and 3 felt to me. I tell people all the time, if Infinite's your first Halo game, 100%. I'm sure it's a great shooter, but it just doesn't.
It's not a Halo.
It's not experience. A Halo. It's just any other shooter.
It's almost
game.
it's just a shooter game that they kind of just put Halo aesthetics on it and then called it a Halo game. It doesn't have the same feel and the same vibe as the other games would have.
And then the community feels very different than what.
Flat. It's flat.
What I like with Halo 2, like reason. So I played Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 as well. When I played Halo 2 and Halo 3, I stopped playing because people were mean, not because I didn't like playing the games. I just got tired of being called an ugly whore like every day and being asked to send pictures because you did have a camera on the 360. And so I was like, okay. Whereas 2, people were just excited to see me. And at 15, 16, I'm not going to complain. But people were excited to see, like, talk to me and be my friend. Yeah. So, you know, and so it just feels like the community has more of your typical COD community than your typical Halo. And that's not to say Halo doesn't have its toxic people. Obviously it does. But comparatively, I found way more toxic people in COD than
we talk about that. Yeah, we talk about community a lot. Like, I'm always shocked when Matt plays a lot of Apex, and when he's on a team, it's just like the whole team is talking to each other. They're like pointing out where everybody is. It works as a team. Like, it's very team oriented in Apex. And then you go and play on Call of Duty, and like you'll play Warzone, and you'll just queue up with like 3 other people, and they'll tell you to go fuck off and die because it's their kills to get, and it's like it's a completely different subset of humans that play Call of Duty versus every other game.
Do you feel that, not just on the subject of COD, but in general, do you feel like, because on the subject of calming, do you feel like party chats kind of ruined that? Because like I know in Halo 3 you would talk to your team, and now, you know, with party chats, Discords, whatever, if you don't have a full squad going in, people aren't calling out.
I'll put it this way. Let me put it this way. I think it's great when you just want to hang out with your buddies, like, and I don't want to deal with the other shit. Like when Pat and I play Call of Duty, we'll play like half of it we'll play in our party, and then half of it we'll play in, I guess, what would you call it, like lobby chat. But it's just like sometimes I don't want to deal with the people. I don't want to deal with the constant shit. I don't want to deal with the constant, like, I don't mind cursing. I curse all the time. But like people are just like so flatly rude and mean and say the nastiest shit. And it's like, I just want you to be muted. I have no reason to even listen to what you're saying because it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the question wasn't more in terms of like the people that suck, which sucks because that's a lot of them. But like, it's just sad because like I want to be on mic and be like, oh, they're, you know, P2, Overshield, you know, my ex, whatever. But like depending on the game, like if the moment I say I calm anything, it's a gamble, and I'm like, I know it's content, but I'm sensitive. Like I might, you know, I can mute you, but it's I don't like being called names.
I mean, you're still a human being.
I'm still a human being. I can try not to take it seriously, but it still sucks. So,
no, I think I would have to nothing.
What?
Go ahead, Maddie.
No, I was just gonna say, like, for like the group chat or like the party chat thing, I think it's a plus. I think there's 2 different sides of it. I think if you're going to use it, in like a random public game, no competitive aspect to it.
Yeah,
I don't see any problem with it because, like, for me at least, like me and my best friend, he lives in Canada, so I don't obviously get to see him that much. When we get to play games every once in a blue moon, so like, you know, normally when we're playing games, like we're just catching up, we're talking shit, we're shooting shit, like we're just kind of having a good time.
Yeah.
And if we want to play Apex and we're not in a party, like I don't want to be rude to the other guy and be in his ear talking about my life and what I did that day or me complaining about work. So like instead of doing that, then we'll just hop in a party chat and it's just me and him talking, shooting the shit, and then we can't hear what the other guy's saying or we can't talk with him. But like in a public game, it doesn't matter. I mean, people are carefree in those anyway. But like a competitive aspect, I think you should kind of take the liberty on yourself to try to join like the lobby chat and actually try to like contribute to
make the competitive modes competitive. You want to play it as a competitive.
Yeah, if you're going to play the competitive part of the game, you should take it not seriously, but you should, you know, try to help your teammates out. And it's not that hard. Hey, he's on the left side. Hey, he's low. Hey, I'm dead. Hey, this, that. Like, it takes 2 seconds. You don't have to. I'm not asking for your life story. I'm not asking for a whole giant call out. But like, oh, he's pushing left side. Thanks. Cool. Don't just leave me in the dark.
And even if you don't know the callouts, for me, it's more just trying. Like, you know, at least you're attempting to communicate. Because, like, I don't know the callouts in any of the card games. I barely remember. I remember, like, Halo 2, obviously, but, like, I'd never learned Halo 3s and all that. So I'm like, okay, middle's pretty easy to explain. And I usually just call out based on, like, what's theirs. Like, you know, mongoose spawn, but there's two sides. So I guess, you know, red, blue, whatever. I don't know. Anyways.
I just say shit sometimes, and I don't even know if it's right. Like, I'll say long. I don't even know if it's long. It's the long alleyway. I don't know.
No, your call outs are like so hit or miss. You either like mark right where the guy is, and you'll be like, "Hey, he's over here, second floor," or you'll be like, "Oh, over here on the tree." Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, Michael,
we're in a fucking forest, dude.
That it's either over there or on me. Where are you? I don't know where you are.
It's too late. We're spread out.
I found myself doing that. I think it was like 2 days ago. We were playing Call of Duty, and there was a guy sniping behind a boulder where there's like a ton of boulders. And I pushed to chat it on the whole lobby, and I was like, "He's behind the boulder. He's behind the boulder." And then I took myself off of the chat, and I was like, "No one's gonna get any of that." I don't even know what boulder it was. Oh, so stupid. But to get back on the Halo point, because I wanted to bring this up, I think the saving grace for Halo, and I think it's going to be 50-50 split here. I think the saving grace for Halo is if they come out with this Battle Royale mode and it rocks.
And that's a big hit or miss. I feel like that's a huge hit or miss for them.
They're also getting further and further away from the bread and butter of Halo.
Yeah.
Aren't they doing something?
That's what you have to do if you want to compete in today's gaming world.
Okay, but
competitive gaming world.
I'm thinking about just Halo in general. You make it as Halo-y as you possibly can make it. There are so many diehard Halo fans and Battle Royale, and I'm just thinking, not even for me, but for the industry, right? Like, just to make it a poppin' game again. You put all of the abilities, you put what the fuck is it called? Where you shoot yourself.
The grappling hook.
The grappling hook. All of that involved. I think it'll be like a Call of Duty Apex, like, because the movement and the shooting of Halo and everything, there's enough weapons to fill out a map. Their maps and their art style are cool. You could put some of the enemies in and have them as like bots. I think it I would like to hear what you have to say, but if you're not a Battle Royale girl, you're probably going to be against it. But I think it would help. I think it would bring player base back.
Well, I'll give my 2 cents on the Battle Royale concept after I'm done still shitting on Infinite. So, wasn't done. Almost. But, what was it? There's a few things. One, I get why, because time and blah, blah, blah. I don't like that it released without co-op. I if I remember right, it didn't even release without campaign. It released multiplayer first, I think. And then the campaign came later. And then I think the co-op's out now. I'm not sure. But, like,
is it?
For me,
I fucking know.
I stopped caring a while ago.
I haven't touched it since a month after it came out.
Smart. But no. But if you like Infinite, no big judgment. But what was it? So, like, for me growing up, it's like I said with Halo 3, going to the midnight release for that, hype was such a thing. Like, being excited to, you know, play this game, midnight release. Granted, I know the pandemic didn't help Infinite at all. I get it. But I personally would rather wait another year or two for a game I was looking forward to playing, knowing that it's going to come out with co-op, it's going to come out with Forge. I don't do Forge, but Forge is such a big part of the OG Halo community that they shouldn't be not taking them as seriously as the competitives. Because
is it that big? Do a ton of people use Forge,
dude?
Yeah, it's its own like section of.
You can create your own game modes, basically, or your own maps, your own.
And honestly, a lot of their maps I like more than some of the maps that actually get released.
Yeah,
I saw something on
Reddit. They would make races. They would make crazy races where you have to drive a mongoose or a warthog like through this crazy terrain, like a mile up in the sky. And if you fall off, you're dead, and you start back.
I saw something on Reddit a while ago that like they were even doing something with the Forge and like deleting people's worlds, or they were like really restricting people on what they can create or what they could publish for other people to play. Yeah, like I saw something where some guy, he spent like a crazy amount of time on this map, and then they made it unavailable. Or like
on Infinite or on what?
On Infinite, yeah. On Halo Infinite with their whole new Forge system. Like people were super excited about it. People are like, finally, like what you guys were talking about. There's that small little group that loves the Forge system, and it finally came out. They were all super excited. They were all making their maps, and then after a certain point, the company was like, I guess they realized that people were playing the Forge maps more than their own. So that's the only thing I can think of on
Get the fuck over yourself, boys.
Like why else would you delete people's maps like for your own community's maps? I mean, it's so strange that I don't know. I thought that was really weird when I heard that. I was like,
can I just say that's probably not because they were playing the Forge maps more. It probably was breaking the fucking game because it was a piece of shit to begin with.
Or both.
Well, the sad thing is, because we already know 343 and almost a lot of businesses are very money hungry. They do realize that their game was actually, mostly good. They would make more money.
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It's an epidemic. Like so many companies are doing the same thing. Rather than take the extra time to make sure you're coming out with the game that you promised your fans, your diehard fans, for over 10 years.
Yeah.
You stick to your deadline and come out with a half-ass game. Like the campaign was like 60% of what it originally was supposed to be. They got rid of co-op. They came out with like 6 multiplayer maps.
If I remember right, I don't remember if it was 5 or 4, but one of them also released without online co-op. I think it had couch, but not online initially. And then, but granted, it didn't take as long for them to add it on. But it's just like, to me, Halo that's my tradition. The campaign comes out. At the time, it was my brother I would play it with. And then as I got older, it was friends online I would play it with. But my first campaign experience was with friends. And so with this game, I didn't even touch the campaign. I was like, I'm not going to play it until the co-op comes out. And then I didn't really have much interest in the first place, but I was still going to give it a chance. And now I'm at a point where like, you lost my interest. So, I've 100%ed every single Halo game since 3, since 2 didn't have achievements. But Infinite's probably where I've drawn that line. I'm like, I'm OCD, but fuck this. So...
I mean, Pat did say it was good. If that means anything.
The campaign?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, but I'm 100%er, so if I start the campaign and get one achievement, I'm gonna want to get them all.
Yeah.
No, it'll take you like 3 days, tops.
To 100% the game?
For like a couple hours a day. It's short.
Oh, the achievements or the campaign?
I think you're just talking
about
the campaign.
Okay.
Oh no, the achievement. No, I don't have the patience for the actually 100%.
Well, that and wait, something I just thought of with that I think personally is pretty iconic in the Halo series. I don't know if they still have them. Were the skulls that you could collect throughout the map, like randomly throughout the campaign maps, and then once you collect, like they'd all give you like random things. Like one would get rid of your crosshair and your HUD. The other one would make like grunts, heads explode confetti. Like, do they still have those? Or because I thought that was a really cool aspect to. I think it was Halo 2, Halo 3.
Yeah, Halo 2 did it, but 3 definitely did. And I just
remember being able to find them.
Yes, they do have it in Halo.
Because I remember you got to the point like you're hanging out with your friends. You finally beat the campaign, and then you find that skull page, and you're like, "What is this?" And then you figure out how to where they that they're possibly in the campaign maps, and you go back through. You're looking everywhere, and then you finally start to find them.
I have never found one skull in one Halo game.
Well, because they're really hard to find. That's kind of the point of them. They're like really out there in super obscure spots that you would never in a million years be like, yeah. You know what? Let me randomly climb this tree.
Let me grenade jump on top of this.
Let me jump on this tree branch. let me sprint jump to this tiny little rock here. Let me look up and then shoot the skull in the tree that's hanging like an apple. Like, you would never in a million years on your own.
Like, I didn't even know I could get up here.
Yeah.
And one of them is, to my understanding, RNG based, which is I would have been your daddy's skull. I want to say it's on three sounds right. I know it's on top of a building and it randomly, like, it's not always there at its spawn, so you have to like revert to checkpoint. And hope that it's there, or there is a system, and I just don't know if it's like, oh, every 20 times revert, or maybe because I jumped this specific way, but that wouldn't make sense. I feel like it's just RNG. And then they did something else, which they might have changed it since release, or since since release. But as somebody and I know it's probably not a big deal, but I don't like it. It makes me mad. So in Infinite, at least at the time, they got rid of, like before it was like female, male Spartans. Like, so, like, I know you can change, like, your aesthetics a little bit, but not much. Like, I know you have your voice, but like the only thing that at the time was different was like your gut size, and it was like 2 different guts. I mean, there's 3 of them, but 2 of them look almost the exact same. You can't even tell the difference. And I'm like, Halo 3, when I got to pick female, and that was the first time I got to do that, that was so cool. Like, yeah, I looked the same, but like just seeing that, the girls are being like represented finally was really cool. Cortana is great, but like, I want to play as someone and not be naked too would be great, But and then Halo Reach, like, your body was different. Like, I know you don't have to have curves and all that stuff, but it was just like, it was just so cool. They at least tried to like make the physique different. And then 4 and 5 did the same thing. And I mean, I get like trying to be inclusive of all the different genders and stuff, but you can be inclusive without being exclusive.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have put more into that, because like, I know, as small as it may seem to some people, like, there's not as many girls compared, like, ratio wise. Like, there's a lot of them, but comparatively, I think I have like 5 lady friends out of my like 700 on Xbox. And I will go out of my way to be like, girl, as long as you're nice, let's be friends, please. And there's not many. It's
super interesting to think about, because like I've never thought about that, right? Like, I've never thought about switching from a male to female, like in Halo, right? It's interesting to think about. But with the aesthetics, what I did notice is, in general, they are very lackluster.
What does that mean?
In Infinite, like, there's not many changes you can make to your aesthetic. Like, it's just, they kind of threw a bunch of things, and then they throw a bunch behind a paywall in Infinite. Like, if you don't throw money at this game, and it's expensive.
Yeah,
like $30 for a set of armor.
Well, all right. So then here's the thing, because since we talked about, I think Halo 2 and Halo 3 had it for at least their multiplayer. I could be wrong, but I know since we talked about Modern Warfare 2, like the original Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty still kind of has it now, but I think it's just something that they do because people would want it, is games bringing back ways for you to get like armor or skins or for your character, for your gun, through just like playing the game. Like, get 1,000 headshots with like I said, Call of Duty still kind of has it, but it almost feels like they just feel like they're obligated to put it in at this point, and there's really no thought process behind it.
Yeah,
it's like the cool ones are still behind a paywall.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Most I remember back in the day, like when you're playing Modern Warfare 2, you're going to hang out with your friends, or you're going to school, and you're like, oh my god, you got the blue tiger camo, holy shit, that's so cool. Nowadays it's like, oh dude, you spent $30 on that skin, that's good for you. Like,
the conversation changes a little bit.
Like, you're just like, it almost doesn't mean anything, because it's just like, all right, yeah, you spent the $30, but like, anyone can do that. It kind of feels better to know that like
you earned it.
You worked like, or like the title and emblems. Like, I used to love getting those in that original Modern Warfare. Like, just win 25 games of Search and Destroy, and you get this little cool emblem or this little badge that you can put on, or get a collateral kill with a sniper rifle, and you're like trying your hardest to get it.
I feel like games just they went and tried to like make things more complicated than they need to be, not realizing, at least in terms of Halo, the average person, the average fan, was content with the simple, and the like not having all this stuff. And I don't know, like I'd rather, as someone who's also broke, I would rather earn it. Like I'd rather spend hours grinding something and be like, okay, here's $20. One,
And
I
it's
don't
not
have $20 to give you, and second, that's dumb.
And
Like,
it's not
why am I-
behind the paywall. Not like a paywall, but even like a battle pass. You don't have to be obligated to buy a battle pass to get something that's a little bit better. Because you look through it and you're like, wow, the free one's kind of shit. There's literally like nothing. But if I spend the $10, I know I'll play the game. I can get something a little bit better. But it's like I don't want to have.
It gets me every time.
100%.
Every
I do it with
single
Apex.
time.
Every season with Apex, I'm like, I'm not buying it. All these skins suck. And then the new season comes out and I find one skin that I like. And I'm like, $10 really isn't that bad. But like, sometimes I get to the point where like, I just want to, be able to be like, yo, I got this fucking dope ass skin just because I played, like you said, because I grinded my ass off or I played a bunch and I enjoyed the game. And here's kind of a reward for it.
Yeah,
It's
money.
all about money, baby.
100%.
Once they started getting those microtransactions in, and once EA came out with how much fucking money they're making off of like FIFA, dude. Google how much money they make off of FIFA on how much people buy packs. It is million. I think it was $1 billion. $1 billion they made off that fucking game for packs. And then people saw that and go, oh, and then Call of Duty puts in a battle pass and they go, oh, and then, it's just...
Now everyone has a battle pass.
Oh my God. It's games that don't even need battle passes have battle passes.
Yeah.
All right, I just looked it up.
Yeah,
because,
you were looking it up.
Yeah. So you said from this one article that I'm just looking at, in its annual report, EA confirmed that it made $1.6 billion from game sales from April 2020 to March 2021. So in under a year, they made $1.6 billion just in pack sales through FIFA.
Yep.
And how many people did they make sad out of those 1.6?
Yeah. They don't give. They don't care, and that's what sucks about the. Listen, we can go into a huge rant about because I hate this shit. But I want to get back to you and your channel. So, from what we gathered so far, right? You grew up playing games. I guess what you said, your brother got you into them.
Well, I don't know if I'd say he specifically got me into them, but because I don't want to pull this card. I don't know if it was kind of sexism or not, because I was older than him and he was gifted a Sega and a Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And I was gifted like a Barbie or something. I don't know.
Like a My Bake set.
Yeah, and I'm just like, but granted, I still liked it. I still liked, playing dolls and stuff, but I also took interest in the games, and it was really cool because it was something that my brother, we actually had in common. Like, he wasn't playing dolls with me. But I'm like, I'll play freaking Power Rangers and X-Men with you, or Mario, or Aladdin. I mean, Aladdin was single player, but I'll play Aladdin.
You'll sit there and watch them.
Yeah, and take turns. You get a life, I get a life.
Yep.
And then let's see. And then I don't know when we got Game Boys, but I remember having like the see-through purple one. Sucking at it. I'm not good at knowing where to go, so it was just something to do. And then let's see. Trying to think of the order. I might be backwards on some things, but then my first console was a PS1, and I played all the Crash Bandicoots, Spyros.
Hell yeah!
Fucking
Crash
awesome.
Bash was my favorite. The arcade styled one where you like throw boxes at each other, you push each other off a polar bear, off an iceberg,
like a Mario Party but it's Crash Bandicoot style. Yeah.
Yeah. And right on pogo sticks and hitboxes. There's so many of them, but that was my favorite. And like, people have a hard time like picturing me as like PS was actually, that would be my go-to console if it wasn't for Halo. Halo was the only like the thing that made me.
Yeah, you shocked me when you said place, when you were like, "Oh, I'm trying to think of the order of." I was like, "Oh, she's gonna say Xbox," like 100% because of Halo.
Yeah, but Crash. I already said all the. Well, not all the. Those weren't all the PlayStation games. Those are just the main ones I remember.
Yeah. I mean, they had fucking. Didn't they? PS1 sold games until like recently, like 2018. I think they just shut off like the PlayStation one. It was wild. Yeah.
And they also had a lot of good games back then, so it's kind of hard to keep track of all of them. You know, they had the Sly Cooper, they had the Ratchet and Clank. Like they kind of had a whole bunch of stuff that people were playing.
And then
God of War.
I don't remember PS1, and then I think is it called a DS, the square one that like
yes,
like,
the big fucker, the big one.
Oh no, it was more like this size, and then it flipped open like a laptop.
Oh no, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was it was the smaller version of it, and then it just had the buttons on the one half, and then the screen on the top half.
Yeah.
What was that fucking thing called?
Wasn't it just the Game Boy Advance?
Oh, that might be.
Because there was the original Game Boy that she said, the purple clear one that was big.
Yeah.
And then I think the Game Boy Advance was the smaller one that she's talking about that flipped up. And then after was the DS.
Oh, Game Boy Advance SP. There we go.
There you go.
Yep. And then because the DS was the big block looking one that flipped open.
Yeah, but that one had the touch screen. Yeah, that one had the touch screen.
Yeah.
But the one that she's talking about, yep.
That's exactly it.
Used to keep it in your pocket with like a Pokemon in it.
Yeah. Good times.
And you had all the crazy extensions for it. You had like the light. You had
the night light. Oh my god.
The thing to be able to play with your friends or do whatever with the other friends.
And then I'm trying to remember.
Remember Pokemon when you could only evolve a character by trading it to someone else, and then they had to evolve it? Does anybody remember that? That was the dumbest shit ever.
No, I wasn't very good at any of the I barely knew where I was going. Nonetheless, I'd actually play the game.
Yeah,
but
I still don't.
I'm trying to. My brain is struggling. And then I guess backtrack a little bit. Our babysitter had a what was it called? A 64, I think. Whichever one, or GameCube, whichever one had Pokemon Stadium.
I think it was a
64. And 64. Pokemon Stadium is an OG top game that is never on anybody's top list. That everybody, dude, those mini games.
Yeah, the Sandshrew one, like doing the bumpers fast enough, and then I feel bad. I get Jigglypuff and Clefairy mixed up with the freaking pink ball that does the teaching, and you had to press the arrows, like memory basically. I remember not actually being as good at that and having to write them down, but I wanted to pass. It was like, okay, left arrow, up arrow, right.
I like that one. I like the sushi one.
Oh yeah, or like lick a tongue or something.
Lick a tongue, yeah, lick a tongue. Dude, the Gen 1 Pokemon names were they were so good.
They were something else.
Yeah, Zapdos. So you, big gamer, been playing games all your life, which is awesome, I think that's great. So now you kind of transition, and all of a sudden, and I'm assuming it's not all of a sudden, you're on Twitch and you're streaming, and you know you're kind of trying to take this to a different level. What made you want to make that change, and like, why stream? Like, I think that's an important part that we kind of all go through. Like, why are we doing a podcast, right? Why are you streaming? It's kind of different because it's bringing it to another level of gaming instead of just sitting and enjoying. So,
after I answer, I would like to hear where your guys, it's like why you guys started a podcast. If this is the time and place to do that,
yeah,
I'm down for it.
Why we started the podcast was simple. We noticed when we first started streaming that although there are little pockets of communities where like you talk to people and it's all about networking, right? If you want to get somewhere, it's all about networking. But if you're not somebody that really streams and has thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers, you easily get caught in the netherworld of Twitch, right? Yeah. And I think that everybody that we have on and everybody that we want to have on and all of these smaller streamers have their own original story and why they're doing it. And at the end of the day, we play games because we love it, right? So, and everybody loves it a little differently and wants to take it to that next level a little differently and why they want to do it. And I think that's an interesting story to tell. And I think that, one, I like to hear it. And I think a lot of other people would like to hear it. That's like, stories. Yeah, right? So, I guess at that point, what made you want to stream on Twitch? What made you want to, you have a YouTube, right? What kind of made you want to make those changes?
Okay, so this is a series of stories. So origin, I guess. So the gamer tag I had the longest on Xbox was The Broke Promise, and the 3s were E's. And like I said, I had that.
We love a good 3 as an E.
Yeah. Classic. But and then I said I had that for the longest time, and I struggle with like a lot of mental things, sad things, life. And then I was like, okay, the things that are in my control, I need to do something about them. So having a super sad name that I've had since I was like 15, 16, as much as it is like, my origin, it's like I can change that. And I'm like, okay, what can I make it to that's not as sad? And I'm like, okay, trying to be clever with it. And at the time, since I made Halo, my Master Chief Collection, I was like, killed by kindness. Oh, I like that because I'm very, like anti-bullying and, advocate and all that stuff. And then, but obviously kindness by itself was taken. So then I've changed it like 3 different times with kindness in it, like L's in it and then XO's and all this stuff. But why I got into streaming was because good times. Okay, so we were playing ODST Firefight at me, 2 of my friends, and a random, and my grenade button got stuck and at spawn, and I killed me and my team. Like we lost 4 of our 10 lives in like 2 seconds, and me and my friends at least were laughing really hard. I had a message that random, be like, "I'm so sorry, like I'm not trolling, I swear." My grenade button got stuck, but we were laughing so hard. And at least at the time, again, I don't know if they've added it since then. When you went to record the last 5 minutes or the last 3 minutes, it wouldn't include your talking. It would just include the gameplay.
Still doesn't.
I'm like, that's dumb. Because like, okay, am I going to do a voiceover? Ha ha! I killed my friend. I'm not good at that. Like, it's not. I can't. I'm not good at acting, and it's not authentic. I'm like, well, that's dumb. And so that's kind of. And I actually don't know why I chose to do a live versus a local record, because I knew you could just. I'm like, okay, well, I can just local record it and put it on YouTube. But if I remember right, I think one of my friends at the time was doing like Twitch. And I was like, oh, I'll look into it, And I have a picture of my first setup. It's really funny, but that's neither here nor there. But it's really bad. But and I didn't know if I was gonna like stick with it, but the people you meet, and you meet people. Well, I mean, obviously, if you get unlucky, there's that. But like, you meet people pretty quick, even if it is just one person. People like are always saddened by their one person. I'm like, that's one person that's talking to you, and you're having a conversation with that one person. I think that's really cool. Like, anybody talking to me, I think is cool. So whether that's 1 or 50, and then the people like I would meet from raids, or people I would raid, or I've met people through Twitter before I met them on Twitch, or I met them on TikTok before Twitch, and so like, and then why I got into streaming was more just to record my gameplay. Why I stayed is that's still part of it, because experiences still happen that are funny, and I want like a home video. I want them to still be recorded and look back on them. And like, I wish my Halo 2 experiences were recorded. Like, I didn't know of capture cards at the time.
Yeah,
like we were laughing so. I remember laughing and staying up so late, as back then. But so yeah, so meeting all these people and still meeting people like almost every day. As well as so I'm at like my 2.5 year mark. About a year and a half in,
top 2.25 on Twitch, top 2.25%.
Oh, let's go, let's go. But about a year and a half into it, I started to. There's a lot of people that say they're a mental health advocate, but then they don't actually do anything. Yeah. They just say it. And I'm someone that like, I really do want to see change, and I can't really do much for like the present people that are trauma fucked. Like, I can do my best and be there for you, but we're kind of just doing our best with what we can. My main thing is helping to keep this from keep reoccurring. So my main demographic is actually like 16 to like 20-year-olds. Is most of my, like, I get a lot of like later high school, early college, whatever,
struggling with the high school shit,
Yeah,
everybody, yeah,
or the friends who are moving into college for like the first time, and actually having to be completely on your own, because that shit is terrifying.
And just kind of like helping them, like, kind of like realizing, like, if I could, like, the things I wish I could do if I, could go back to being 15, 16, like the options I didn't know I had when I was younger, and being treated like I didn't know anything. I didn't like. I mean, granted, you don't know as much, obviously, but you shouldn't be treated like you don't know who you are as a person. Like the amount of people that would like try to make you do what they want you to do, and it's like that's not.
Yeah, for sure.
Pushing an office job when you're 16, pushing college on you when you're in high school, like people that was like its own thing in high school. Was people would come be like, you should be looking on college. I'm like, yeah, $60K debt, and I don't know what I want to do when I'm 18. Smart idea. No, but yeah, just and I'm very passionate about like I'm a dreamer myself, and so I'm constantly encouraging people like. I don't care what your, so-and-so's telling you or your teacher's telling you or your whatever. If your dream is to be a musician, your dream is to write, your dream is to draw, whatever. I say go for it. You build those medias and put yourself out there. Your community will find you. It may take a few years or you'll get lucky.
Yeah.
But I do believe there is a community for everybody. It's just, there's so many freaking people in this world. How can there not be people for you?
God.
You just have to find those people. It's the problem.
I think what you bring up is really important, and we've actually never talked about it before on the podcast, but the three of us are mental health advocates as well. I mean, I always do whatever I can do for our friends. We do a lot for each other, and just in general, and it's something that isn't really. It's coming to the forefront, right? It's not as talked about as it probably should be.
Yeah.
And if there's some places where if you bring it up, you're not shunned, but you're shunned. Does that kind of make sense? Like,
yeah.
It's like
You're
we get it.
Yeah,
we get it, but like we don't really want to.
Yeah,
we don't want to talk about that. Go somewhere else and talk about that.
Exactly.
Right? But I think it's super important, and I think that having in somewhere where you can go and you can vent and you can talk is an amazing thing. Like, for example, for my anxiety, and I think that the two guys can agree. And I want to get your opinion on this as well. Something that has helped my anxiety a ton is actually doing this podcast.
Okay.
Because it took me out of my comfort zone, right? And it took me somewhere where I didn't think that I could just sit in front of a microphone and talk for an hour a week. And, we were really nervous when we first started. And if you listen to our first episodes, I'll never take them down. But they are hot trash compared to where we are right now. We're just getting started, right? So it really helped. Has streaming for you specifically helped with a bunch of like anxieties? Like for me to have the strength to get in front of people and stuff, it has to help at least a little bit.
Let's see. It's helped. I think it's helped like a lot of stuff in the sense that because of the community like I've built, I have people that they could be watching anybody else. They could be talking to anybody else. They're hanging out with me outside of stream. People are in the Discord or whatever, or they're supporting me on other things as well. Or like I had somebody yesterday recommend my channel to a friend to raid. And I go back to the end of the thing to like see the conversation, like to see like how my name even got brought up. And I'm like, it makes things a little less nerve-wracking when there are people that are on your team and they're rooting for you and they have your back. And like this Twitch stuff, I've had more people be supportive than I have when I wasn't doing this. So I think that's kind of like how it did help a lot of. It hasn't helped everything. Like I still like get nervous and stuff, but I wouldn't trade it. I'd rather get nervous and be hanging out with all these people than to like not be really doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I bring that up is just because you don't really understand. Like you think that you're just like kind of like for us turning on a camera and recording to people and no one showing up. But like when people do show up and they start talking to you and it's just a different mindset. You kind of have to bring yourself to a different, like, we'll be pretty, like, very frank. We're not good at when we stream, just in general, all three of us, we kind of get into our game a lot. And like when chat comes in, we're just not like you do a great job of it. Like when I was watching you, you're always talking and you're communicating with the chat and you're kind of describing what you're going through and what's going on in the game. And, oh shit, I died. And like, that's not easy to do because it's a lot of gaming. Your whole life is,
you're just sitting there quiet thinking to yourself.
Yeah,
or you're
special. I talk to myself in general. Like when I'm doing something like, okay, we're going to go grab this, Uncrustable, and like I kind of like narrate, like my
so
life.
it's perfect.
So it
it works.
out well, but it wasn't like a training thing at all, and I think it also depends on like what I'm playing. So like with Hollow Knight, I'm dying a lot, and there's always a reaction. Like, and that the game is super trolly. So like second phase bosses are a thing, making you walk off the edges of there's. I could go on, but I won't. But my point is like there's always something to react to. Like Dead Cells was the same way. If I'm playing a game that's like say I don't know, fucking Farm Together, where I'm just watering crops and planting stuff. It's like, okay, guys, we're gonna go down this row, and then we're gonna go down this row, and we're planting carrots, and we're gonna plant cucumbers. Like I'm not gonna say that over and over again. Now we're watering times 1,000. Mm-hmm. It's like during those ones, I am usually more quiet and chill. But I have found that there are people that, like I said, they're there for you. They don't want you to feel like you're making yourself talk when you don't want to. Or like, let's say like my kids are in bed, I'm trying to keep it down. I don't usually stream when they're in bed, but that point though is like, you do what you gotta do in that moment, or maybe I don't fucking feel like talking.
Situations.
Yeah. I'm not gonna force it. And that's kind of like a big thing I do on my streams is I do things that, like guide videos will tell you otherwise. I'm more be yourself, obviously this will help you more, grow faster, but I think authenticity is more important than how fast you grow. So like I'm a no cam streamer. Before VTubing was a big thing, like now it's doing well, but in the beginning, they would advise you either to have a camera or you don't do anything. I'm like, well, that sucks. I don't want to be on camera if I'm not comfortable. And I would try really hard. I'd be on camera and I would hate it. And the anxiety was even worse than it is, like normally. Like, this is dumb. I'm like, and so then I was no cam, and then I got the VTuber and stuff. And I'm like, do what you feel comfortable with doing. And guides can tell you what they want, and you can follow them if you want. But if they're not your thing, you can still stream and do your thing versus not doing it or feeling forced to do something that you don't want to do.
The thing is, it's the same thing we just talked about before with EA, right? It's all about money. So all these new people are coming on, watching all these guides, thinking, I'm going to go and make thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on Twitch. Yeah. And then you start actually streaming on Twitch, realizing, well, that's a super grind to start. If you want to make some money on Twitch or even YouTube or anything, it's not as easy as those people on TikTok make it seem, where it's like, oh, I posted a video and now I'm a fucking bajillionaire. Like, it doesn't work that way. So then you have to find why do you do it, right? And like for you, it's about the community, and it's about like, it seems like you and your community are very tight when it comes to at all of your streams. There's always a communication going, which is awesome. I think that's one of the coolest things as a streamer that could possibly happen.
I'm to be at a point where you like, I'm not saying it's always popping and stuff. Like I said, even just one person, having at least one person in my stream within 5 minutes of going live, whether it's my normal scheduled ones or I don't really do spur of the moment, but when it does happen, it's so cool.
And then you get to know them, and then you're like, oh, so and so is here again. What's fucking going on, right? And it's like, oh my god, we're friends. It's like,
and then when they come back, when you get a returned person, it's like they didn't have, like, I might have scared them off, or I might have cussed too much, I might have whatever. So like when they come back, it's just like, abandonment issues. They're so great.
And then when they leave you, it's horrible. Fiascos is gone, guys. We had somebody that would come back, and we lost
number
them.
one fan. He was from southern India, and he's been MIA for like 2 months now.
Yeah. So
he used to always come on at like 2:30 in the morning.
You should lose people, which sucks, but
but again, it's a learning process, right? It's all we're doing here really is learning about who we are. I mean, I think that's what we're doing here as a podcast, is kind of learning. We found out that we really like to hear other people's stories, right? It's something that we really enjoy to do. So I still look forward to it every single week, and especially when we have a guest on, because I think it's amazing, because everybody's been through different shit, and it's Twitch is I would still think it's new, right? I think we're all around the same age, so it's different for people that are a little younger than us that kind of grew up with
it's 12 years old, but I think it just started like becoming more of a thing with the pandemic and everyone being stuck out.
Because I mean, I don't think I've really been watching Twitch for that long. I think it's only been like maybe 4 years.
I didn't even know it existed until like I think a few months before I got into streaming.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was a thing.
MySpace kid, that was it.
Oh my god, remember MySpace?
It was the best.
I see screenshots back of MySpace. It was so much better than Facebook.
You can personalize your page. You can have music playing when you come on. You had your
little coding stuff, you know.
Yeah,
embed things on your profile.
Guaranteed at least one friend. Good old
Right?
Tom.
MySpace Tom.
I was talking with someone at work about it. She's like, she thinks she was in high school, or she was like a freshman in college. And I was like, have you ever heard of MySpace before? She was like, no. What was that? I was like, bro, first off, stop. You're making me feel way too old.
You need to quit.
And then I was telling her about it, and she's like, oh my god, that sounds so cool. We should totally bring that back. I was like, you go for it.
And then you were like, you had a really shitty week, and then you turned it into like an emo MySpace where like everything was dark and My Chemical Romance was playing.
I'd give almost anything for MySpace to make a comeback. And it doesn't have to be crazy. You can make it exactly how it was.
It was perfect the way it was.
We have a background. It was.
And then you'd go on and play Farmville.
If Twitch added MySpace features, like let you customize your background instead of a black or white background, like that would be cool. Have my top 8 instead of the hosting thing at the bottom. It could be like your top 8 people would be your quote unquote hosts,
like your favorite streamers or your buddy streamers.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
I've had this idea for a minute, but you're trying to wrap it up, aren't you?
No, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a streaming service.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know who we have to get involved.
I've thought about it. I don't know how to go about it, but I would think
who knows about coding.
My stream. We'll call it my stream.
My stream.
You guys?
Oh, I like that because it starts with an S too, like MySpace.
Oh, my.
My stream.
And it's like you said, it's much more personalized.
My new friend. Can we finish my thing? Okay, my new friend. You can say hi real quick, and then
okay.
You
can say hi to.
My oldest, which is Autumn. You can say hi into the mic right there.
Hi.
Hi, Autumn.
You're asking how you are.
Huh?
You're asking how are you?
I'm good.
We love to hear it.
They said that's good. That you're good.
I have a question.
I don't know if I trust you asking questions right now.
Question.
I mean, kind of. They're on camera, but I want to say it's a face reveal. They're just choosing me on camera.
Okay.
I'll talk to you in a little bit, okay?
Autumn, it was so nice to meet you.
They said nice meeting you.
How do you know my name?
I told them your name. Just now, when they asked who they were talking to.
Okay,
Bye. That's one of the two. And that's, I guess, another, going back to like streaming stuff, is another reason like why I stuck with it, or why I'm still sticking with it, is it's something I can do from home for like on the days that when they're, just because they're sick doesn't mean I can take sick days. You know, mine would add up, and then they miss so much school, like summer break, winter break. I feel like there's even more breaks than just those two. Just sporadically, conferences, just so many things happening, and so like it's something that I can, like I'm able to just do remote, which I think is important. And then I stream a lot more than probably quote unquote recommended, but I raised 2 of them by myself. So I'm just like, I have to be on that grind to stand a chance at
I mean, you'd be surprised at how long some people decide to stream for. Some people do those subathons and stream for like 3 days straight.
I don't know how they do. I mean, they sleep, I guess, but
I think it's fucking mind blowing. I don't like. I was talking to my friend about it, and I was like, because we were playing, and I had a stream up, and the guy was already streaming. He was doing like a subathon. I think the day before he did like 36 hours, and then he slept for like 10 hours, and then while I was watching him, he was already doing 12 hours then. So in the past like 3 days, he did 48 hours of just streaming Apex. And I was like, dude,
it's Timmy?
No, it was another professional player, but still, I mean, I was like, dude, like, no offense, like, I love playing video games and I love playing Apex, but like, realistically, like, how long do you realistically think that you could just sit at your desk or on your couch or whatever and stream the same game? Like, I was like, I hit a certain break. I hit a certain breaking
Pack could do
point.
it. Pack could
Where,
do it.
like, after like 24 hours of the same game, I'm like,
Oh, well, that's a bit much.
Well,
no, yeah, like he's only been playing Apex, and it's just like, fuck.
Or we could start doing the new trend, the sleep streams.
Oh,
Where you just fucking stream yourself sleeping. What the hell is that?
It's funny because I feel like I don't want to say, quote unquote easy money, but like I'd feel too weird. Like, I don't want people watching me sleep. I'm good.
I am not a pretty sleeper. I'm like mouth open.
Oh god,
drooling. I am.
Just the noises.
Okay, I'll kill the ants later. Okay. I'll talk to you a little bit. Okay. Yes, there's ants.
Ant season. Ant season. Nothing's worse than ant season.
I hate ants.
Especially when there's a bunch of them.
But yeah, but like I'm not a pretty sleeper. I wouldn't do well. Like I don't want people looking at that. And then you're like
just
farting.
The noises. My God. Just the noises.
Well, then if you can't do anything, like if let's say hypothetically a hate raid happens, or let's say just one person, it doesn't have to be a bot attack. It could just be a person being sucky. You don't want that in your, like, I want to be able to be there. Like, even though I have, mods, I feel better still being as present as I can. For me, the mods are more like a backup in case I can't do something, but I'm at least going to try and do something versus just not being active at all.
Imagine being a mod in a sleep stream.
Not even that.
Like, you have to pay attention. And it's like, they're just sleeping. You got nothing going on.
Or, since we're talking about weird streams, real quick, have you ever seen those streams where people like make their whole house into a stream? Like they have like a camera in like the top, they'll have like a camera in like that back corner of the room to see this. Then they'll have a camera just of them. Then they'll have a camera of like their kitchen. Then they'll have a camera in like their other room. So like whenever they travel throughout their house, it's like
and they'll like pan.
Yeah, they like, always broadcasting.
So it's like the real, not the real world.
That's like it's almost a lot of.
Well, she's in a room.
Big Brother. It's like Big Brother. Big Brother's like that
in a way, yeah. But like these people are just have cameras like in streaming like around their whole house. I was like, that's
bizarre.
Hey, any way to make money. But listen, Kindness, it was a pleasure talking to you. We really appreciate you being on. We always like to give people a little bit of time to shout themselves out. So shout out your Twitch, your Twitter, whatever you want to do. Where could people find you? And again, we really appreciate you being on. Everything that you're doing, I think that you're doing wonderfully. I think everything what you stand for and what your stream is about, I think it's awesome. So we wish you all the best of luck with everything, and keep up the good work. But if you want to, where can people find you?
I want to. I just don't know how. The title has my name, and it's the same everywhere.
And everything will be in the description. So where you can find her will be in the description. But until next time, Kindness, we really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And that was our interview with Kind Essence. Great interview again. I really enjoyed it. I think it's great that we can keep having these streamers on to tell their story. So we appreciate them. And we'll keep going, and we'll keep getting more people to come on. So I look forward to that, and keep tuned. But for now, we'll end it with some Patty plugs.
Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at DFreaksandGeeks. 3 replacing the E in DFreak. And if you are a streamer or content creator out there and you want to get on the show, let us know on Twitter. Also, 5 stars on iTunes.
Or
Love
Spotify,
us,
or whatever.
Or whatever. Yeah.
5 stars.
If not, whatever. Just listen.
Cool.
Okay.
It'd be nice.
Bye.
Later.